Hi everyone, I'm Ashely Martinez, culinary dietitian for Kroger Health. Today we're gonna make sweet potato and black bean enchiladas with pomegranate guacamole. Let's get started. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is cut our onion. We've got a red onion here. It's a little bit more sweet. We're gonna go ahead and dice this. But before we do that, the first thing you wanna do is to cut off the bottom right there. Set that onion up on top, and then you're gonna cut directly down the root. And then we're gonna save this half for the guacamole. This half is gonna be for our enchiladas. Next, you will peel this off. So much easier when you actually leave the skin on and then peel it. And then you're gonna go ahead and lift your fingers up just like so. Slice diagonally down the center, give it just 2 cuts. And then you're gonna turn it to the side and just thinly slice this all the way through to the very end, leading with the point of that knife. And make sure you don't cry during this either. Then we're gonna turn it again and go ahead and just dice the rest, keeping those fingers back, dicing them nice and fine, all the way to the root. All right, now we're gonna add our chopped red onion to the pan, but before we do that, we're gonna add a drizzle of olive oil. You wanna do this right before you add in the onion. And we are going to saute this for about 5 to 7 minutes until the onion is translucent. All right, the onions are looking pretty translucent. Now it's time to add the garlic in. So you're gonna add 2 garlic cloves. Make sure they're minced. And then we're gonna add in the spices as well, starting with some dried oregano. Sprinkle that in. We've got some cumin, some smoked paprika, so we can get those nice flavors in there. And lastly, some chili powder. Just mix that all around. Only about a few minutes that we'll leave this in the pan, and then we're gonna add in those yummy tomatoes. So this is really what's gonna bring all the flavor to this dish. Just these nice earthy spices that really resonate well with Mexican cuisine. All right, we're gonna add in those crushed tomatoes. You're gonna do about 15 ounces, which is 1 regular size can of tomatoes. This is gonna be that enchilada sauce. All right, give that a good stir. And now we're gonna remove this from the heat and just continue to stir that. And then we're gonna set this enchilada sauce aside in a bowl, and we're gonna cook the beans as well as those sweet potatoes next. So again, add another drizzle of olive oil to the pan, and make sure you dice your sweet potatoes in a medium dice. We'll add that in. And sweet potatoes have a ton of potassium, which is beneficial for managing your blood pressure. Also got some fiber in there as well, which is good for your gut health. So of course, we're gonna add them in. And I love this recipe because it's vegetarian. You don't have to use meat with this. You can still get just as satisfying of a meal with some dense vegetables as well as some bright flavors. Okay, so we're gonna let the sweet potatoes cook for about 10 to 15 minutes until they're tender. Halfway through, we'll add in those black beans, and then we'll get ready to roll those enchiladas. So the sweet potatoes are getting that nice brown goldiness to them. So they're looking good, they're not done yet. What we'll do now is add some vegetable broth to our sweet potatoes. So just drizzle that around. And next we'll add a can of no salt added black beans. This is where we're gonna get even more fiber and protein for our enchiladas. And we'll continue to cook this about 5 to 6 more minutes. and then we'll be ready to go from there. So the sweet potatoes and black beans are looking pretty good. We're gonna give them another stir, but before we mix this with the tomatoes, we're gonna add a pinch of kosher salt, salt to taste, and then we're gonna add a pinch of black pepper. Just give that another stir, and then we're gonna pull this off the heat. We'll turn that off. And we're gonna grab that enchilada sauce that we made earlier, add that right back into the pan, saving just a little bit to top the enchiladas with it. So we'll mix that all together. And we're gonna grab our whole wheat tortilla wraps, and we're gonna start building these out. Okay, so I've got some whole grain tortilla wraps here. I'm gonna place one on the cutting board. I'm going to take a heavy scoop of this mix and place it on the left side of the enchilada. I'll push that down, and now we roll this. So you're going to pick it up from one side, pinch it in, tuck that under, and just roll forward, and boom, you've got one enchilada ready to go. You're gonna want to grab a pan to bake in, place that there, drizzle it with some olive oil on the bottom so the enchiladas don't stick. Make sure it's coated pretty well. And we'll just fill this all the way to the very end of this pan and make sure that they're packed all the way in. And then we'll top the enchiladas with the remaining tomato mix, and we'll bake in the oven for 20 minutes. And we'll also top with some cheese. Tuck, pinch, and roll. So we've pretty much packed that full, trying to get the most that we can in there. Next, what you'll do is add the remaining enchilada sauce right on top. So you'll scoop that, just drizzle it on top, kind of spread that around. And if you have any leftover sweet potato and black bean mix, you can place that on the ends of the pan, and I'll show you how I do that. Looking nice. And then the remaining mix, you can take that and just add it to the ends and just kind of tuck it in. And that will also bake as well. All right. Last but not least, we've got to add the reduced fat cheddar cheese. It's up to you if you would like to add cheese or not. I think this just adds that extra flavor to the enchiladas. And the way that I eat enchiladas is definitely with some cheese. So just garnish that over top. Now it's time to place this in the oven for 20 minutes at 400 degrees. While the enchiladas are baking in the oven, let's get started on the pomegranate guacamole. So you're gonna need 2 avocados, 2 tablespoons of cilantro, about half a red onion, some kosher salt and black pepper, and then about a cup of pomegranate seeds. The next thing you'll do is cut the avocado. So let's get started with that. You're gonna place your avocado on the cutting board. Make sure that you have a sharp knife. We're gonna cut into the avocado, and you're just gonna twist it around. So instead of cutting it in your hand, this is definitely a safer way to do this. Taking the knife all the way around, and then you can easily just twist that off, and boom, you've got your avocado. We're gonna add this to the bowl, taking a spoon, going around the edges here. Make sure it's nice and ripe. Add that in there. And we'll do the same thing for the next avocado. So once we've got the avocado in there, next we're gonna add the lime. So anytime you have a lime, before you cut it or even zest it, you wanna place it on the cutting board and roll it forward and roll it back. This really helps to get as much juice as you can out of it. Softens it up, and it's a whole different lime. So before cutting into it, let's zest it. So anytime that you are zesting a lime, you wanna be sure to basically move your wrist down as you zest it, because that keeps the pith out of the zest, and the pith is the bitter part of the lime. So really what you're doing here is just getting that top part of the lime out and into the recipe so it's bright, fragrant, and fresh. Okay, and once you've got that in there, then just add that to your bowl. Nice fresh lime. Next, you'll go ahead and cut right into the lime, and we're going to squeeze that into the bowl. You're just gonna need half a lime to do this. And this helps the guac to not oxidize or become brown. So definitely adding lime has an acidic component to it, but it also helps it stay fresh longer. Next, you're gonna add about a half a small red onion. And then you're gonna add about 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro. Smells so good. Next, you'll add just a pinch of black pepper and a pinch of kosher salt. And now we're going to mash this before we add the pomegranate. So taking a fork, just go ahead and mash it all together. If you have a masher at home, that works great too. If you want something quick, a fork always does the trick. Okay, so we've got this pretty much mashed up here. Now let's add the pomegranate arils. So this is basically a boost of fiber and a boost of antioxidants. Those nice bright colors are really what you need in your diet to make it very wholesome and inclusive of all of the nutrients that you need. Okay, and then we're just gonna mix that together, and this will be our topper for our enchiladas. Looks absolutely beautiful. All right, time to take the enchiladas out of the oven. They are ready to be eaten. So, grab this. Right, they look absolutely beautiful. They're gonna look even better with that pomegranate guacamole. So there we have it. All right, let's plate one of these. So you wanna be sure to grab a spatula so you can really get into that enchilada and break them up. Okay, and this is still hot, so I'm gonna put my oven mitt on. Cut into this here. Yum. Here we go. Looks beautiful. I'm also gonna grab some of that leftover sweet potato and black beans and just put those towards the end and around. And last but not least, let's top it with the pomegranate guacamole. So you'll just need about 2 tablespoons of this, but really, you can decide the portion size for yourself. Top that there, right on top. And then you can add some of that cilantro. If you have some left over, sprinkle the plate. If you wanna add a little bit more of those pomegranate arils, there you have it. That is the sweet potato and black bean enchilada recipe with that delicious pomegranate guacamole. What I love most about this recipe is it's packed with prebiotics, which are beneficial for your gut health. Pairing prebiotic foods with Core Nutrition's probiotic supplement really helps to optimize your gut health as they both work together.